Disappointing and amazing. Canon EOS R5 C.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hopefully you're all having amazing creative days. Thank you for stopping by to check things out. And if you like this kind of content, definitely subscribe. I got more content like this coming up, and leave some comments down below as it really helps me grow this channel. So in this video, we're going to talk about the EOS R5 C. We're going to talk about why it's an amazing camera, why it's a disappointment. We're going to talk about why the EOS R5 C is also kind of outdated. I know it hasn't even started shipping yet, but the technology is kind of dated. So we're going to explore that a little bit. And then last part of the video, I'm going to talk about whether or not I'm going to buy the EOS R5 C. So time code's down below. You know what to do. If you want to skip ahead, let's get into it. All right, so let's talk about why the EOS R5 C is a disappointment. And in order to do that, I want to talk about these strange decisions Canon has been making. So we have the 5D Mark IV. Remember when that came out, 2016, they put weird codecs in it. 2018, EOS R came out, but there's a 4K crop, one memory card. What's up with that? 2020, R6 comes out, 20 megapixels. The EOS R had 30 and the R6 had 20. It doesn't make sense. It's just a weird decision. And then of course the R5 with its overheating. So when the R5 came out, they said you have 8K, we can shoot 8K RAW, all these different features, but anything better than 4K 60 overheats prematurely, including 4K HQ. And that was the problem with the R5, along with it could have used some nicer menu features like scopes and things like that for video, would have been helpful. But they did add C-Log 3, which is great. The other problem with the R5 was the fact that it had a 30-minute record limit. So when these rumors of an R5C started swirling around, I think I'm not alone here. A lot of other R5 users probably thought the same thing, that the R5C was going to be a fix to the R5. Because in my opinion, the R5, which we're filming on right here, is probably the closest thing to the perfect hybrid camera Canon has ever come out with, except for the video features that overheat and that 30-minute record limit. Everything else, beautiful camera. I absolutely love it. But I think the disappointment with the R5C was that a lot of us thought that it was going to address the issues of the R5, which it kind of did, but I think Canon kind of over-fixed the R5C. So one of the things we really love about the R5 is the fact that it has in-body image stabilization, IBIS. So I shoot a lot of weddings and events. I shoot in low light situations, and I'm shooting with an 85 1.2, a 35 1.4. And when you're shooting weddings, it's not always super bright, sometimes dark situations, the wedding hall, so on and so forth. And that IBIS really helps to get nice, clean, crisp shots. So as a photographer who shoots those kinds of situations, IBIS, super handy. But I also shoot video. And if you're shooting hybrid stuff at a wedding, because people are like, hey, can you get some video too, as well as photos? Sure, why not? And with the R5, you can switch between photo and video modes super fast. If you don't know how to do that, video about it right there. And you can literally switch from video to photo mode in a second. It's not even a second. You hit the MFN button, boom, you're in video mode. Hit it again, boom, you're in photo mode. So you never miss the moment. Plus, you can program custom function 3 setting in video mode to whatever settings you want. So if you're in photo mode and something happens, you can just hit record on the R5 and it'll start recording video in whatever you set the custom function 3 setting to, which is super handy. So if you're a hybrid shooter and you're shooting events, things like weddings, you don't get a second chance. You can't be like, oh, hold on. Throw that bouquet one more time. I missed it. All right. You can't do that. That doesn't work. It's not a thing. So you need to be able to be fast when you're shooting hybrid. Boom, 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 video, photo. And IBIS certainly helps when you're in video mode at a wedding, right? If you switch to video mode, you're not rolling around with a tripod or have a rig. You're just like, okay, switch to video, hold steady, lock the elbows, boom. And the IBIS plus lensed IS really helps. So you can get nice steady shots handheld. Looks amazing. R5 was fantastic at that, except for the fact that it overheated. So if you're shooting in 8K or 4K HQ, after a while, it's done. And of course, when you're shooting a wedding, you can't just turn off the camera. You have to keep shooting photos when you're not shooting video. So the R5 not having in-body image stabilization totally sucks. Because now if I'm shooting a wedding and I want to go from photo to video mode, can I get a steady shot? Do I have to carry a tripod with me, monopod? Like it makes things so much more complicated. Plus, when you switch from photo to video, it takes about 8 seconds from what I've seen online. Now, There is that sensor cleaning that happens when the camera shuts down. Maybe if you turn that off, it switches from photo to video faster. But either way, the photo mode has one operating system. The video mode has another operating system. So the camera has to shut down and then reboot in the other operating system. So that's why it takes so long. And that's a huge disappointment because the R5 was fast and it was quick and it had IBIS and it was great for run and gun vlogging or video shooting, handheld stuff. And I loved it. And now the R5C doesn't have that. It's a completely different beast. So that's why I'm disappointed with the R5C. Canon overfixed it. Now let's talk about why the R5C is an amazing camera. All right, so let's talk about why the R5C is an incredible camera, but perhaps it was named wrong. You see, I think it should have been called a C50 because it makes logical sense. It's C70, then come down to the C50, you have your DGO sensor, you have your regular sensor, you have more cinema features, less cinema features, XLR, no XLR, right? So it just makes sense that the C50 would be the name of this camera. And also I think if they called it a C50, nobody would care that it didn't have IBIS. It would have been a new product on the market. It would have been a cinema camera that's ultra compact with great features, feature rich for what it is, with a full frame sensor, 45 megapixel photos, plus these incredible video modes. People would have been over the moon with a C50, but because they called it an R5C, a lot of people, myself included, thought it would fix the issues that the R5 inherently had, but it didn't. It kind of, created a new product altogether. So with that being said, let's look at what the C50 R5C is. And what it is a freaking amazing cinema camera shrunk down into the size of an R5. So you have these great features in a compact little body. And for you run and gun video shooters, you can just put it in your backpack, you can take off, you can make your videos, you can come back, and you don't have to carry this huge kit with you. Although, because it doesn't have in-body image stabilization, you're probably gonna have to get a gimbal. You have Lens IS, and Lens IS is great, but it doesn't replace, see, I'm filming in 4K HQ on the R5 right now, and my overheating warning has just started, so we're gonna switch to regular 4K now. So if you wanna see the difference, pay attention. Okay, so we're back, and this is regular 4K mode. What you're watching, the previous part of this video was all 4K HQ. So is there a difference? Plus, I do have Tiffin Pro Mist 1/8 filter on here to kind of give a little bit of glow to the light and soften the skin. So now you can kind of see the difference between the two. All right, so let's continue. IBIS. The thing with the R5C is it doesn't have IBIS. So if you're a run and gun shooter, you're going to have to bring a gimbal or some kind of tripod or something with you. And that's the one thing I also don't understand, because the R5C is the smallest, most compact cinema camera in Canon's lineup. It's kind of geared towards the run and gun shooters, the people who want to maybe vlog, or the people who want to follow somebody with a camera, or somebody who wants to make wedding videos or something like that. You want to be able to be portable and mobile, right? That's the whole point of having a small little body. Throw it in your backpack, you go, you make your video, you come back home, you edit it, you're good, right? So the fact that the R5C doesn't have IBIS even in video mode or cinema mode, it's just, I don't know, it's strange. Like, I get it on a C70, you want to mount that on a rig. I get that on a C500, you want to mount that on a rig. But the R5C is so small and compact, you kind of need IBIS. Now, like I said, there's issues with the IBIS. You get the corner wobbles and stuff. But if you're vlogging and filming and just doing run and gun type stuff, you don't really care about that. So it's strange. But anyway, I mean, all things considered, if you look at it as a C50, it's an amazing camera. It's definitely worth buying if you're into video. Plus, you get those incredible 45 megapixel photos out of the camera as well. So it's the best of both worlds if you think of it as a completely new product. Just don't think of it as a fix-up to the R5. And that's about all I can really say about the R5C. I haven't held it, I haven't used it, so I can't really give you my experience with it. But on paper, it does look pretty good as a video camera. So now moving on to why the R5C is a dated camera. All right, see, I love having my tripod on wheels. I can just roll it around wherever I want. So let's find a nice little composition in the background just to change things up. So here's the thing. I made an argument for this in a previous video. I talked about why the R5C is a dated camera. There's the video if you want to give that a watch. I'm just going to touch base on it here. So here's the thing, we had Lumix cameras, we had the Sony FX3, and now the R5C, all with fans in them. But I think that's old technology, and the R5C is gonna become dated pretty fast. Here's the thing, you have the Z9, you have the Alpha 1, they both shoot 8K, and they don't need fans. So why does the R5C need fans? And I'm gonna present the argument that Canon got lazy and they didn't re-engineer the internals of the camera. You have the battery, which causes heat. You have the processor, which causes heat. You have the card reader, the read-write causes heat, and they're all sort of on the right side of the camera where your hand grip is. And of course, the camera's waterproof. So what happens when you have all this heat in a waterproof body? It overheats, right? The one thing I remember from the launch of the Sony Alpha 1 is that Sony talked about how they completely redesigned the internals of the camera so that it was able to shoot 8K and dissipate heat at the same time without the need of a fan. And I thought, wow, that's pretty incredible. They probably put the processor on one side, the battery over here, and they move things around and then probably put heat sinks with thermal paste in them to kind of dissipate the heat. Because if you know physics states that heat goes from an area of high concentration to an area of low concentration. So it's always going to move outwards towards something cold. So that's why heat sinks are so fantastic. So I'm curious, because when the R5 came out, people did teardown videos and there were no heat sinks, no thermal paste, no nothing. It was just all these things that generated heat inside a waterproof body. And of course, it overheated. So I'm not sure if Canon redesigned the internals on the R5C. We'll see. There'll probably be some videos at some point with teardowns and people will open it up and check it out. But in that case, that's why I feel like the R5C might be dated. So it's got a fan. It's maybe a stopgap camera to keep people excited and keep people interested in the product. And then the R5C Mark II, or hopefully it's a C50 at that point, comes out and it won't have a fan. It'll just be able to record everything and it'll have heat sinks in it to dissipate the heat. So that's my argument on why I feel like the R5C is already dated, even though it hasn't even started shipping yet. And let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think it's a dated camera? Do you think it should have been a C50 instead of R5C? Let me know in the comments down below. And now I'm going to let you know whether or not I'm going to buy this camera or not. All right, so we are now filming this on Canon FD 24mm f2.8 from 1979. This lens is older than I am, and hopefully we get some nice retro vibes, and it looks pretty cool. And it's all manual focus, so I may drift in and out of focus. But with that being said, will I buy the EOS R5 C? Originally, I was gonna say no, hands down. Without IBIS, I don't want it. But you know what? After thinking about it, IBIS isn't really that big of a deal. Like certain situations, it's super handy. Like when I shoot weddings and I'm shooting low light and I've got, taking a photo and I want that steadiness and I want a sharper shot. But if you think about it, IBIS in photography is only useful if you're steady and the subject is steady. So it certainly helps in low light, but if you're moving and they're moving, IBIS is useless, right? It's handy with video, and that's something to consider because at weddings, I do a lot of hybrid work. I've been shooting weddings for a long time, and now clients are asking for video as well as photo because that's the thing. No one wants wedding albums anymore. They want wedding web pages, and they want the photos and the videos up on a website so they can share it with their friends. And let me paint a picture here. We have like a situation where, let's say, the niece of the bride has the bouquet and she finds it and she's playing with her friends and it's all cute. And then she goes and runs and hugs her dad's leg. And it's just a cute moment. You don't want to capture that in photo. You want to capture that in video because it's all about creating that emotional connection. And in that situation, IBIS really helps. Sure, you have movie digital IS in the R5 and R5C, and you have lens IS, but the IBIS really ties all that together and makes it super steady. So how often do I shoot in situations like that where I need IBIS? Not too often, but it's certainly helpful. Now, the other thing is with the R5C, because you have digital IS, that means the camera actually crops in. So if you want to shoot a wide frame like this and you go to digital IS, you're going to pop in a little bit. I think what's it, a crop factor of 1.25? I don't remember. I'll put it down here, but is it a real deal breaker? I don't think so. I don't think the lack of IS is a huge deal breaker. But what could be a deal breaker is how slowly the R5C moves from photo to video mode. Now, this makes absolutely no difference to people who are shooting like headshots or real estate or commercial product photos or anything like that. It makes no difference to you. But if you're shooting a live event and you need to switch from photo to video, switching at 8 seconds is a little slow, right? Because that moment I just told you about, a niece with the bouquet and she's playing with her friends, you want to capture that in video. And with the R5, you can just hit record, and whatever you have set in your custom function 3 settings, you're set. You just hit record and you're recording. But with the R5C, if you're shooting a hybrid event like that, and you switch from photo to video, right, you're going to wait 8 seconds. By the time 8 seconds is up, that moment is gone. It's over. You missed it. And that's the big thing for me that I worry about. Now, what would be nice if Canon updated the firmware on their R5C and gave you the full R5 firmware photo and video mode, which would be great. Then you could switch to shooting video real fast and then also put in that cinema video operating system as well. That would be a huge help, especially if you want to switch between photo and video fast. Now, with the R5C video modes, I think it's an awesome camera. You can get some really, really, really nice video. And you're watching this right now. We're filming with a vintage lens from 1979 in 4K HQ, and hopefully it's sharp. I look like I'm in focus, so I assume I am. I got the red focus peaking lines around me, but it looks really good. And the thing with the R5C is all the 4K modes are 4K HQ. They're all downsampled from a higher resolution. So that's pretty amazing. There's some drawbacks when you're shooting with 8K and the battery and all that stuff, but in general, most people are going to be filming in 4K. So the R5C looks like an amazing photo video camera. It does have some drawbacks in very specialized niche situations, but in general, I think Canon knocked it out of the park with this camera. So yeah. All right, now before I get out of here, if you have any comments, let me know down below. What do you think of the R5C? Is it a camera you're interested in or not? And if you're thinking about buying an R5 or an R5C with a small rig cage and handle, check out this video right here first, because the handle will damage your R5 and most likely your R5C. So you want to be careful with that. And with that being said, peace out. Thanks for watching. See you guys in another video.